evening and welcome. You're watching Breaking Views with me, Sanket Upadhyay, the show where we get you all the views so that you get the complete picture on the story that we are tracking. Today, we are going to talk about 2G scam and a 5G scam. Why in quotes? Because in 2010, the BJP, the then opposition, alleged that 2G is a scam. The court then acquitted everyone by 2017. And now, the present opposition, which was in power back then, is saying that the 5G auction is a scam. The government is saying that no, this is rubbish. Let's understand what all has happened. So, 5G auctions, the government says, help fetch record earnings. 5G spectrum was sold for 1.5 lakh crore rupees. This is almost double of the 4G airwaves sale value of 78,000 crores, triple of 3G airwaves sale of 51,000 crores. And as far as this auction is concerned, Reliance Jio was the top buyer for the 5G spectrum at 88,000 crore rupees. So of the 1.5 lakh crores, 88,000 crores Reliance Jio paid. Bharti Airtel, Vodafone, Idea are the other big buyers. Now let's quickly bring you, just to remind you, many of you already know, about the 2G, the loot, the scam, and then finally the verdict. So as far as 2G auction is concerned, the Comptroller and Auditor General back then claimed the 2G allocation process in 2007 and 2008, because the process was changed, caused a loss of 1.76 lakh crore rupees. That was the allegation. Ex-telecom minister was accused of rigging the process. That is Mr. Adimuthu Raja, A. Raja of the DMK. In 2017, A. Raja and 34 others were acquitted by a Delhi court. The court said that the CBI miserably failed to prove any charge against any of the accused, and the court also called the CBI charge sheet well choreographed. These are the words of the court, not anyone else. So now, with the 5G auction that has taken place, remember the notional loss amount, 1.76 lakh crore rupees. That is the figure which the BJP said is the loss. The Comptroller and Auditor General said that this is the loss, presumptive loss. So now when the 5G auction has happened and the government has got 1.5 lakh crores record amount, Mr. A. Raja, accused of the 2G scam, now says the government itself estimated 5G would be sold for 5 lakh crore rupees. Now 5G has been auctioned only for 1.5 lakh crore rupees. A. Raja says that the 5G was sold for less than the estimated loss in 2G allocation. 1.76 lakh for 2G, 1.5 lakh for 5G. So he's saying, how come 5G, a superior technology, is being sold for less than the presumptive loss amount that you quoted back then? A. Raja says, where has the money gone? So there should be an investigation in this case. Telecom Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has dismissed these allegations. Ashwini Vaishnav says, and I quote, I am shocked to see this coming from an ex-minister. Many bands were not sold, they remain with the government. The minister, Telecom Minister, says that spectrum worth 2.8 lakh crores are still unsold. They are still with the government, they have not been sold. So where is the question of a scam? So on the show this evening, we are going to talk about 2G versus 5G. 2G scam versus 5G scam. 2G loot versus 5G haul. Which is which? What is correct? It's all out there in the political domain. Supriya Shine, national spokesperson of the Congress Party. A. Saravanan is a DMK spokesperson. PKD Nambiar is a political analyst, supports the BJP, and Professor Govardhan Das, BJP leader. Supriya Shine, I would like to begin with you first. You've heard the explanation of Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, who says, where is the scam? This is not the complete auction of the entire spectrum. Only a portion of the spectrum has been sold. So where is the question of a scam? Supriya Shine.
It's very interesting to hear the minister say what he is saying, because I want to lay certain facts on the table. In 2019, when the spectrum sale was planned, the 5G spectrum sale, it was estimated that exactly for the portion that has been sold, 6 lakh crore, 5.83 lakh crore will be raised. 1.5 lakh crore has been raised. So I now want to ask the notional loss value experts to come and value this. I also want to raise 2 or 3 important points away from the bands and really talk on the telecom sector.
Sure.
India's telecom sector has been reduced to almost a duopoly, with Vodafone having to go to the government to do a rescue act. Where is the vibrant telecom sector? Why has the telecom sector shrunk? Where are the 12, 13, 14 operators? Why did not a single foreign operator think 5G telecom in a booming market, supposedly booming market like India, is a great option to put money in? The government is not going to answer those questions, but those questions need to be asked. Telecom spectrum auction was limited between a duopoly, that is of the government's making. And I want to, through your channel, remind what I was told once, I think when I was a journalist, I think as Finance Minister, Arun Jaitley put it best. And this was happening when RelGeo, all rules were being dismantled. And he said, the TRAI chairman and the telecom minister are presiding over the death of Indian telecom. And a measly 1.5 lakh crore that has been collected by selling 5G airwaves is a proof of that. You have reduced a vibrant market to just a duopoly. One player, actually Vodafone Idea, going to the government to ask for a rescue act. Okay. Not a single global operator. Mr. Adani in for some private spectrum that he wants. What a mockery they have made of a sunrise, a huge booming sector like telecom. And the blood is on the hands of the union government, its policies, and the dislevel playing field that they have created in telecom.
Sure. Mr. Saravanan, before I come to you, let's play out a reaction of Mr. A. Raja. Mr. Adimuthu Raja, who was the telecom minister back then. Now, he seems to be quite emboldened right now, where he says that, look, where are all those people who predicted loss, who are looking at a notional loss of 1.76 lakh crores? He actually said, he is the one who says that what is happening now is a 5G scam. Let's listen into what he said.
See, 5 lakham நான் சொல்லல. It was estimated by the government itself. அரசாங்கம் தான் சொல்லுச்சு 5 லட்சம் ரூபாய்க்கு போகும்னு சொல்லுச்சு. அப்ப நீங்க தான 1,50,000 கோடிக்கு போயிருக்கு. கேப்ப யார் சொல்றது? குட் எனஃப்ங்கறாரு மினிஸ்டர். குட் எனஃப்ங்கறாரு வார்த்தை பயன்படுத்துறாரு. அதுக்கு மேல அவரால சொல்ல முடியல. So where's money has gone? எங்க தப்பு நடந்திருக்கு?
Mr. Saravanan, to say that back then there was no scam because there was an acquittal from the court, and to say that now actually there is a scam, how do you explain?
Yeah, see, this 5G auction is being highlighted to expose the hollowness of the claims of the BJP, to expose how they have. She had rightly put that it has become a duopoly. There were actually 10 players, and who were benefited by that? The consumers. Now, because of this duopoly, who's going to be benefited? Definitely the friends of the BJP party who support them through the electoral bonds. And Mahinder, only 30 megahertz of airwaves were sold in 2009. Right now, it is around 51 gigahertz. So that is the difference. And it's a measly 1.5 lakh crore. They said 6 lakh crores. What happened to the rest? And the minister says, no, we have some more spectrum to be sold. Who's going to buy that? When the top 2 players, who are the biggest friends of this government, this BJP government, who else would be dare enough to come and participate? Who else is there to come and take those waves, airwaves? Nobody. That is why we are saying this government, every moment, yesterday the finance minister is coming and saying this government is a corruption-free government, this government is this government is that. But the corruption is happening, the favors are shown only to a very few. Nobody can question them.
Okay.
That is the scam. That is what.
Sure. Let's now take a response
and
from.
One more thing.
Yeah,
we
quickly,
want to find out where this Mr. Vinod Rai hiding now. Where is he hiding now? So many people are asking questions. He has been given a position. He has been given a plum government job after he became the Comptroller and Auditor General. He quit that job after coming out of this job. As per the Constitution, anybody who holds the post of the Comptroller and Auditor General should not accept any other government position. But
Okay.
this guy who claimed himself to be the conscience of the nation did that. He did an unethical thing. He did an
Okay,
immoral thing.
I
And
remember
right
interviewing
now-
when he wrote that book on cricket as a cricket administrator,
He's not an
and
accountant.
through the course of that interview, I also asked him a question on this, on his report, CNAG report, and he still maintains that I stand by my report. I still
He will
stand
have
by
to
my
stand by.
report,
Can
so
he-
it'll be
can
very
he,
interesting to hear him.
No, no,
And
no,
we've been
can-
trying to
can-
reach
no,
out
no,
to him.
that's
Let's
what-
hope
no,
we
no.
get a response in the light of the
So he
5G
won't
spectrum
respond.
allocation.
So, Somnath, he will not respond. He cannot respond. He is a stooge of the RSS. That is why that report came.
Sanket,
Everybody
can I
know
make a
who
very
Manu
brief
who
point?
Yeah,
manipulated
I'll
the
come back to you. Supriya,
Is
one
it
moment.
fair enough?
Professor
Yes,
Govardhan
I
Das
can
and
finish.
PKD Nambiar.
No,
Let's
no,
get the
no,
government's
Somnath,
version
Somnath,
also.
let me finish this.
Very quickly,
Somnath,
let's get the
10
government's
seconds to me.
version. Professor Das, how will you
10
respond?
seconds to me. 10 seconds to me.
Scam
10
in
seconds to me.
2010,
10 seconds to me.
fair auction in 2022. Opposition says no.
Okay, good evening, Sanket, and good evening, my fellow panelists.
Good
There are two
evening.
things I would like to mention here. Number one is in 2010, what the CAG said is the loss of 1.76 crore, right?
Lakh crore.
1.776 lakh crore. Okay, so in that time, how much was the 2G auction was? Is it 9,400 crores, right? And today, this is in 2022, what auction we got is 1.5 lakh crore. That is to a partial amount. So this is, and the opposition, they just keep on jumping. There's a scam. Where is the scam? There's no proof. But there's a Congress government that when they do they are kind of scam master. Their scams are on the sky to land to the water.
Don't talk
to
nonsense
the,
that will be refuted. Speak the correct language and use the correct words. If you are going to use this language, you will be retorted, you will be refuted. So stop doing that, please. That's all that I'm asking you.
No,
Let's
we'll
speak in a
please
parliamentary
use-
language. Speak in a
Sanket,
parliamentary
Decency,
language.
parliamentary
You
words,
represent a
please.
political
Nothing
party
unparliamentary
here.
on the debate, please. Yeah.
Sanket, if you cannot really hold your
No, you cannot use
conduct this
unparliamentary language. You
this is
cannot
nothing to.
call us a
Where is the
Sultan
unparliamentary
master.
language?
I will not let you do that.
No, Sanket
this is
will
wrong.
get Sanket. You should do it otherwise you should not call them be a
You can
gentleman,
leave.
right?
You can leave
The-
if you have an issue.
Yeah,
But I will
in
not
your
let you.
show-
Why don't you, one moment, why don't you make your point?
people.
Okay, here is the thing.
Yeah.
I'll come back to you.
No, Sanket, never call
No,
them-
we are digressing. And that's how you move
No,
away from an
Sanket.
issue, and I can't allow that. I have limited time.
Did I interrupt with anybody?
You cannot.
I-
use
Sir,
language
make your
that
point
is
now.
Not
No,
parliamentary.
I'm trying to make. You are not stopping her to interrupting me. Why?
You are using
You-
wrong
see,
language.
Make the
sir.
okay. One moment. I'll have to come in here.
Sanket,
PKD Nambiar.
Sanket,
PKD
you-
Nambiar, you tell me.
Before-
2G was a scam
before-
or is 5G
before
a
you
scam?
conduct your debate,
Presumptive
why
loss
don't you
versus
get-
actual
get
gain.
A sheet from the Congress.
PKD Nambiar. Professor Das, we'll have to wait. I'll come back to you. I have very limited time. Yeah.
Well, all of the
time. You should
PKD
conduct
Nambiar.
your
PKD
debate.
Nambiar, please. Come on.
all the hardcore politicians are talking about the politics of it. I'll just tell you that we live, the business happens, and the finance and economics, like Supriya ji very well known to it. It happens on different time in different level. 2G was a basic service which was predominantly for the voice. That time the telecom as a sector was just an infant stage in India, wherein more than 30 odd players were there, whether it is India or international. Today, the telecom as a sector is a very, very matured sector, and 5G is a luxury. It is not a necessity. There is a difference between a necessity and a luxury. And secondly, as you said very correctly, Supriya ji said that today we only have 3 players. It has nothing to do with any particular government. It was primarily because of the consolidation. As we all know that many of these companies have come together, including Vodafone. There are 3-4 companies have come together. The last one was Idea. So today in a country, like in an environment, we are only 4 players working. 5G and 2G comparison is a foolish thing. Anybody whomsoever is doing it, whether it is in this panel or somewhere else, different time zones. About 2 decades ago.
No, let me tell you. So one of the arguments that we heard in 2010 also from the government back then, the arguments that we heard was, see, what we are trying to do is increase the tele density, reduce the cost,
My dear
make
friend,
the
just understand the basics.
phone
Sanket,
call
Sanket,
available
Sanket,
to everyone.
Sanket,
Can
for
I-
At a
your
cheap
information,
rate.
Sanket, I
Can
can
I
give
come
you
in first? Can I
real
give me 10
technical
seconds,
information
Sanket?
for your
10
knowledge. I
seconds.
think
Yeah,
I
one
think
moment,
it's-
Mr. Saravanan. One by one.
Can I just complete my
Yes,
statement?
Mr. Nambiar.
What all I am saying is that the 5G is a very, very expensive technology. As I said, the 2G was an infancy stage of a technology for an Indian sector where with the mobile penetration of, and it was predominantly voice, and in 5G is all about
And
data.
yet 2G,
not only
2G according to the Comptroller and Auditor General should have fetched 1.76 lakh crores.
Absolutely, my dear friend.
Whereas a
absolutely.
luxury
There is
called
coming
5G
now.
gets only
Who have-
1.5
who have-
lakh crores.
Sanket,
Sanket, can I please come in now?
You're still not
10 seconds,
understanding.
Can I
The
come in
Supreme
30
Court of
seconds?
India have asked for an auction. The Supreme Court of India have asked to go for an auction wherein even in a Calcutta circle, if I remember, in the circle, it was the mere amount of 1 crore was fixed that time.
So-
there was a scam. Of course, you know
Sanket,
it.
can I come in,
Okay,
Sanket?
okay.
One
Supriya
second.
Shine.
The fact.
Supriya
If you want
Shine
to
again,
know the
then
fact,
Mr.
that is the
Saravanan,
case.
and then Professor Das.
Sanket,
Yeah.
Sanket, I want to first point out to a very important thing here. Whether it is the BJP representative or the BJP supporter, you cannot call it a scam because the court has said there was no scam and you have accepted it. So either your government is lying or the courts are being put in question. You are in contempt of court. So stop doing that. Do not call it a scam. Do not use unparliamentary language against policymakers of that time.
So why
If
you did
do
the
not
same
want
thing
to hear
for
the same language
you
against yours.
went on and
Sanket,
did
what
it for
is
Smriti
essentially
Irani
being said?
every day.
One second, PKD,
Supriya ji.
just
Every day
keep
you
quiet,
do it.
PKD.
One
Every
by one,
day you
please.
do it.
One by one, please. Limited time.
PKD Nambiar, while you pontificated, I did not speak. I am only trying to tell you here, the courts have said there was no scam. You are not higher and greater than the courts of this land. At least listen to respect the verdict of the court. That's all that I'm telling you and your colleague from the BJP. The second thing that I want to say, and I want to point the debate in that direction. You are telling me basic voice telephony should have got us 1.76 lakh crore rupees, but high-end 5G and for a government that wants to push data, that wants to push digital India is
Oh
now
my
saying
God,
maybe
what are you
5G
talking
is
about? I think,
luxury
come
hai.
on, yaar. I mean,
5G
this
luxury
is
hai. अरे
heights
5G
of.
luxury क्यों है?
This
अगर
is
high
heights
end
of.
को data पे लाना है,
This is zero
5G को
technical
affordable
knowledge.
बनाइए.
This is
I
zero
need
by one,
technical
please.
knowledge. This is zero technology knowledge. Unfortunately,
Sanket,
zero
can I come in?
technology
One by one,
knowledge.
please.
Can I-
One by one.
PKD, you are the
Can I
only one who
explain?
understands
Zero
technology and you are the
knowledge.
only one who understands
Supriya
finance and yet
ji,
you are
please.
not being able to make your
Supriya
point.
ji, it's
You
a
are putting
zero
India's
technology
in
knowledge.
question here.
Supriya
The
ji,
problem with
zero
all of
Okay,
you
can't
is
have a
you
debate
drunk
like
on
this, please.
power.
I have to
I'm
come in
saying-
here. Let's make sense of this. One moment.
That is
Professor Das,
the reality.
let me take a comment from you. Please make the point that you wanted to. One by one, please.
See, I think the Congress spokesperson, she can call every damn thing on this earth is scam. But if you say scam, she will, she'll, behave like, that kind of behavior in your live debate in the national TV. So
Are you
one thing.
questioning
Second
the
thing
courts?
is, see,
Are
one
you
second, I
questioning the
cannot do it.
courts?
I can't do it. They,
Why are you
come in?
you,
getting
you,
so
What?
Sanket, you don't call.
Calm down, Professor Das.
Such people.
What
I can't do it.
Are you a teacher?
Professor Das is really agitated. Professor Das, just make your point.
What is wrong with it? Is he a
This
teacher?
is the
Please do
mockery.
not-
This is the kind of-
What is wrong with you?
what is this?
Sanket, can I come in 10
What
seconds?
is
Sanket?
this?
Behavior is this, sir?
Professor
I'm
Das,
worried
your
for you.
response.
I'm worried about your health.
I'm sorry,
worried about
Professor
your
Das,
mental
you're
health
looking for a
mostly.
utopian, ideal environment where
Sanket,
nobody
I'm
talks.
very
That can't
worried.
happen.
I am very
People do
worried.
talk over
Sanket,
one another.
now
There
the
are
question to
interjections.
you.
I am worried about
Please
your
make your
mental
point.
health.
Now, question to you, Sanket.
Quickly, Professor Das.
Whether you
I'm
debate
worried
or
about
not.
his mental
Now,
health.
when she's
He
talking,
can't
she's
have a
interrupting,
meeting.
you don't say any word. When somebody else is interrupting, you keep on jumping. Why?
Hey,
Why?
Professor Das, make your point.
Make your point. I'm saying the one point that this is a. Do you know that what is the procedure for the auction? This is all the procedure have been followed, and then auction been done. And then when the auction is done, we got a 1.5 lakh crore. Why you are trying to find something wrong in it? So that is, you on top of that, this is the partial your spectrum been auctioned
Okay.
out.
Yeah,
rest of
the point that
things is
Mr.
with
Vaishnav
government.
has also made. Okay, I've run out of time, but thank you very much. And Professor Das, I'm very happy that you were finally able to make your point. Thank you very much. I've run out of time. I also have with me a former union minister who was a minister when the 2G scam unfolded. Mr. Manish Tiwari is now with us. Mr. Tiwari, thank you very much for your time. 2G versus 5G and this comparison. Why do you think this comparison is being made?
Well, Sanket, thank you very much for having me on your show.
My pleasure, sir.
The simple reason why I'm making this comparison is that in the November of 2010, when the then Comptroller and Auditor General, Mr. Vinod Rai, had come out with his presumptuous loss report that in the allocation of 2G spectrum, government had suffered a presumptive loss of 1,76,000 crores. We had called it absolutely a bogus report, because gain can be presumptive, loss can never be presumptive. And then when Mr. Vinod Rai and the other officers of the C&AG had appeared before the Joint Parliamentary Committee, which was looking into the 2G spectrum and other telecom related issues, it became very evident that they were not able to defend their report. In fact, the report had no legs to stand on. In fact, I had asked for permission from the Lok Sabha Secretariat, which was denied, to actually put in the public domain in the form of a book, the cross-examination of Mr. Vinod Rai that I had carried out in the Joint Parliamentary Committee. But unfortunately, that was denied. But nonetheless, that figure was so bombastic and the figure was so sensational that it completely rocked the UPA government off its haunches. And the UPA government was never able to recover from that death blow. Now, when this 5G auction took place, and 5G is a much, much more superior technology than 2G, and at that point in time, the allocation was made in the 800 and 900 megahertz bands, if I remember correctly through the top of my head. And now when the 5G auction has taken place across a panoply of bands, it has only yielded 1,50,000 crores. So it is very evident that the then C&AG, Mr. Vinod Rai, was unfortunately fronting for certain interests which wanted to subvert and topple the then UPA government.
Mr. Tiwari, are you then saying or suggesting that we fetch less price or lesser price in the 5G auction? Or did we overestimate the loss figure for 2G? Just trying to understand what exactly you want to say. And also the point that is being made now, the thing with technology is that prices come down as technology evolves. This is also one of the arguments being given. I want to understand your view.
You see, ultimately, it's an auction. So in an auction, the price discovery takes place through the bidding route. And obviously, if I understand correctly, most of the spectrum has really gone at a reserve price. But the short point that I'm trying to make is, if the benchmark for 5G, which was discovered through an auction process, was 1,50,000 crores, then that figure of 1,76,000 crores as presumptive loss was completely a bogus figure, and it was orchestrated with a deliberate and mala fide intention of completely and absolutely subverting and toppling the then UPA government.
Okay, Mr. Tiwari, my final question, beyond this comparison between 2G and 5G auctions, what do you plan to do about it from here on?
No, I am not saying that the government sold 5G for less. That is absolutely an erroneous read of the situation, because the price discovery took place through an auction process. So whatever the auction price is, that is the benchmark. But all I'm trying to say is that all those people, including the ones who are currently in government, who made a virtue out of that 1,76,000 crore rupee report, should really apologize to the nation, because they really became the front organizations of the C&AG in perpetuating this falsehood and this myth that the then UPA government had caused a humongous loss to the exchequer and was therefore was corrupt and deserved to be booted out. And may I also add that when that particular matter went for trial, the court exonerated each and every one of the accused. Not a single person was convicted of this alleged fraud of 1,76,000 crores. And that, is a very eloquent testimony to the kind of chicanery which the then CNAG and his colleagues had done. I do not know for what ulterior motive, but one thing is definitely clear, that if 12 years later, a 5G auction across bands from 700 megahertz on to 2300 megahertz only fetches 1,50,000 crores, then that figure, which was deliberately thrown into the public space and was so sensational with so many zeros attached to it, definitely had a mala fide motive. And to your question, how do we intend to take it forward? Well, I think that's something which we seriously must think about.
All right. Mr. Tiwari, many thanks for joining us.